Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Reader's Workshop. Before we get started, you know the drill. Make sure you're ready to learn. Eyes watching, ears listening, quiet as a mouse, still like a pretzel. Okay, so the last time we were together, we talked about the setting. I showed you this handy dandy equation to help you remember that setting is the same as time plus the place. So the time and place of a story is the setting. We talked about the fact that the setting is where the story happens. We talked about that different stories have different settings. We learned that illustrations show the setting, and we learned that settings can change in a story. Today, you are going to learn about retelling the story. When you retell a story, there are several important parts that you should always include. So we're going to talk about Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and we're going to practice retelling that story. So when you retell a story, you should always include the setting and the characters. Those are two important parts that you always need to mention when you're retelling a story. So in the case of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, we would say that the story took place in a cottage in the woods, and that the characters were Goldilocks, Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. When you retell a story, you should always include the problem. So I've given you some images of the major problem in Goldilocks and the Three Bears is that Goldilocks broke into their house and caused a lot of damage. That Goldilocks, she is up to no good. Okay, so far we have setting, characters, and the problem. Those are three things we will always include. The next thing that you need to do when you retell a story is talk about the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. And I've included these words. Let me move my face. I've included these words first, next, and last because those are the words you use when you tell about the beginning, the middle, and the end. So first, the beginning of the story. Next, the middle of the story. And then last would be what happens at the end. So far, do you remember so far what we've said? We've said setting, characters, the problems, the actions of the story, beginning, middle, and end. Okay, and in the case of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you'd say, first, the Three Bears left their house. Next, Goldilocks went into their house without permission. Then she ate Baby Bear's porridge, broke Baby Bear's chair, and slept in Baby Bear's bed. Last, the bears came home and Goldilocks ran away for good. Okay, so that's kind of an example of beginning, middle, and end. Okay, so we have four things that we know. Now, the last thing that we always tell when we retell a story is we include the solution. So as I just mentioned, the solution of Goldilocks and the Three Bears is that she got scared when the bears woke her up and she got out of there for good, never to be heard from again. Okay, so I have these really nice charts that go through how to retell a story. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 biggies. Those are the biggies that you have to remember. And like I've been showing you on my own hand, the 5 biggies fit right nicely on your fingers. Okay, so setting, the time and place where the story takes place, characters, who is the story about, the problem in the story, the events in the story, and then the solution to the problem. We're going to be doing a lot of retelling this year. So you guys are going to become experts at retelling stories. So now it is time for you to practice independent reading. So when you read, see if you can remember all the important parts. Remember, there are 5 that you would need to retell the story. Today, you're going to read for 15 minutes. Okay? And I want you to remember to show reader respect, which means you are reading quietly. You are staying in your own spot. You are reading the whole time. Don't waste your time when you're given this opportunity. This is really important time, and get started right away. Mrs. Underwood and I want you to become the best readers that you can be. And you can retell a story just like we do. And remember, when you retell, setting, characters, problem, beginning, middle, and end, and the solution. Okay, first graders, happy reading.